Mother Nature has been running hybrid experiments for 500 million years. And the results make every fictional creature ever imagined look unambitious. These are not myths. Not Jurassic World. These are real animals, documented in the fossil record, that should not have worked, and thrived for millions of years. The Moropus. Moving through a Miocene forest on all fours. On the surface, a horse. Look at the arms and it becomes something else entirely. The forelimbs disproportionately enormous. Knuckle walking. Ending not in hooves but in 3 large curved claws. A horse's head on a gorilla's framework. Those claws. Each approximately 20 centimeters long. Pressed into the forest floor with 1.1 tons of animal behind them. They were not weapons primarily, they were the tool that let the Moropus hook onto tree trunks and pull high branches down to that horse-like prehensile-lipped mouth. Evolution solving a problem in the most unexpected way possible. The Moropus rearing against a tree trunk, 4 meters of horse-headed, gorilla-armed, claw-footed animal bracing itself against an ancient oak to reach the upper canopy. It was not a fast animal. It did not need to be. Those claws gave it exclusive access to food sources nothing else in its ecosystem could reach. Look at the Moropus face. A horse, unmistakably. The broad nostrils. The muscular prehensile lips designed to strip leaves from branches the way a horse strips grass from the ground. The amber eyes set wide on the sides of the skull. Everything correct for a horse. But the neck angle is wrong. The weight beneath it is wrong. The arms are completely wrong. The Amphicyon. Bear or dog? The brain cannot settle on an answer because the answer is neither. 600 kilograms of animal that is genuinely intermediate between the two. It arrived in this forest as a specialist at not being specialized, capable of doing what a bear does and what a dog does in the same body. The Amphicyon's jaw. Wide, deeply muscled, the carnassial teeth, the shearing premolars, sized for processing large prey. This jaw evolved to handle whatever size the prey happened to be. It is the jaw of an animal that did not need to specialize because it was already equipped for everything. The Moropus versus the Amphicyon. 1 tons of horse gorilla on 3 claws facing 600 kilograms of bear dog. The Amphicyon stopped at 8 meters. This happened regularly in the Miocene forest. 2 impossible animals facing each other in ancient woodland. Both of them real. Both of them documented in fossils that are sitting in museum collections right now. The Tanystropheus. Found first and classified as a dinosaur, then reclassified as something stranger, a Triassic reptile that lived during the same period as some of the earliest dinosaurs and looked like what you would get if you gave a lizard a neck 3 meters long and then made the neck rigid. That neck. 3 meters of vertebrae forming a single structural rod that could not bend. It moved as a unit, rotating from the shoulder like a crane arm. Half the animal's total length was neck. Not a flexible neck. A rod. An apparatus. The teeth tell us what the neck was for. Long, thin, conical, slightly interlocked, the dentition of a fish catcher, not a vegetation processor. The 3-meter rigid neck was a fishing rod. Extended over the water. Absolutely still. Waiting. And then, a single strike, the head dipping at the end of its rigid boom, the interlocked teeth closing around something that could not escape them. Multiple Tanystropheus on the limestone ledges of the Triassic coast, their long rigid necks extending in different directions from their compact bodies. Each animal roughly 6 meters total, half of which is neck, positioned at the water's edge. This was not an unusual sight for the Triassic coast. This was Tuesday. The Erythrosuchus. First discovered, first thought to be a theropod dinosaur. Then more bones were found. 4 legs. Not a dinosaur. Something older. And the skull, 1 meter in length, 25% of the total body, was still there, mounted on a 4-legged body from the period before dinosaurs existed. That skull. 1 meter. On a 4-meter animal. The proportions of a T-Rex's head on a body that a crocodile might recognize. The skull was the entire strategy: concentrate every available evolutionary resource into one end of the animal and make it impossible to survive contact with it. The Erythrosuchus was a hypercarnivore. More than 70% of its diet was meat. We know this from the specific wear pattern on those large curved serrated teeth. And with a skull that was 25% of its body length and bite forces comparable to a large modern crocodile, it ate whatever it wanted. The Daeodon. The Hell Pig. Moving across the Eocene plains in groups of 4, each 750 kilograms, each with a face that combines pig anatomy and hyena jaw architecture. The name Hell Pig was not given lightly. The people who named it had seen the skull. That face. Pig snout. Broad. Recognizable. And flanking the jaw, large bony protrusions, wart-like growths and ridges on the cheekbones and lower jaw that are, in reality, structural reinforcements for the jaw muscles of an animal that was designed to process anything it encountered, including bone. The Hell Pig at a carcass. The jaw opening to its maximum gape, significantly wider than any modern pig, wide enough to get around objects a pig has no business approaching. The bone-crushing molars at the rear. This jaw was documented in use because we have the wear patterns on the teeth, identical to spotted hyenas. The Hell Pig crushed bones like a hyena that had decided to look like a pig. Two adult Daeodon facing each other with jaws at maximum gape. Those bony cheekbone protrusions, the facial architecture that looks so strange in isolation, are exactly what these confrontations required. Anchoring points for the jaw and neck muscles that were swinging 750 kilograms of animal head at arrival. The face was built for this specific moment. The Hell Pig versus a modern pig. Size: the Hell Pig was roughly the weight of a thoroughbred racehorse. Jaw: the Hell Pig could open its mouth wide enough to get around prey and process bone. Diet: opportunistic omnivore who scavenged extensively and hunted when necessary. Temperament: researchers describe adult Daeodon as one of the least likely animals in North American fossil history to be challenged by anything. This is what the Miocene North American landscape looked like: Moropus browsing, Amphicyon hunting, both in the same ecosystem, the same forest, the same watershed. No African savanna contains anything equivalent to either of these animals today. This landscape was not Africa. It was stranger than Africa. 3 Tanystropheus at rest on the Triassic limestone ledges at night, their 3 long rigid necks extended in 3 directions from 3 compact bodies. In the moonlight, what you see is 3 pale rods connected to 3 small bodies. This is an accurate description of what these animals looked like at rest. The Tanystropheus waking at dawn, the multiple long rigid necks rising from the laid-flat resting position to the operational horizontal extended position, each neck rising as a single structural unit. Not flexing. Not coiling. Simply rotating at the shoulder. Multiple 6-meter animals rising simultaneously on a Triassic limestone coast like living cranes activating. The Erythrosuchus at dusk, the enormous skull casting its own shadow in the red light. This animal lived 249 million years ago, right after the Great Dying, the largest mass extinction in Earth's history. It was one of the first large predators to fill the empty niches the extinction left behind. It arrived in an empty world and immediately became its apex predator. The Moropus at the forest edge, the horse head raised, looking out across the first open grassland that the cooling Miocene climate is producing. The forest environment this animal evolved for is contracting. The grassland ahead of it is an environment the Moropus's anatomy was not designed for. This is the beginning of the end of a 33 million year dynasty. The Diphinus, the first amphicyonid. The size of a large domestic dog. The same bear dog intermediate anatomy in miniature. This was the beginning of a lineage that would eventually produce 600-kilogram apex predators that dominated most of the planet's continents for 30 million years. It started as something smaller than a wolf. From the 15-kilogram Diphinus to the 600-kilogram Amphicyon, the same design, scaled up across 30 million years. The bear dog body plan worked so well that the lineage barely changed it. They simply grew. And as they grew, they became more dominant. Until the world changed and the design that had worked for 30 million years stopped working. The hell pig's ecological dominance was total. Nothing in Eocene North America appears to have challenged adult Daeodon directly. The fossil formations tell the story. In most environments where Daeodon is found, the other large animals are found at a different layer, a different area, or simply less represented. The spatial record of animals avoiding each other, preserved in rock. The last of the great Moropus herds, moving through a Miocene forest that is thinning around them. The forest contracting. The grassland advancing. This family, Calicotheridae, existed for 33 million years. They survived multiple climate shifts, multiple extinction events, multiple waves of new predators. They did not survive the one change that replaced their forest with open grass. Those 3 curved claws. 20 centimeters each. Pressed into the soft earth of an ancient forest floor. The specific 3-toed knuckle-walking print of an animal whose closest living relative is the horse, and whose locomotion was closer to a gorilla's. The fossil record of the most impossible decision evolution ever made, and one that worked for 33 million years. The Tanystropheus, neck extended over the water, the entire 6-meter body weight balanced on 4 short limbs and a long braced tail, the 3-meter rod of a neck horizontal over the water surface. This is what the animal looked like in operation. The mechanics of a crane arm applied to a living reptile in the Triassic. It worked for 10 million years. The Tanystropheus on land. Moving at the specific awkward gait of an animal whose body is front-heavy with 3 meters of rigid neck that cannot be raised or lowered significantly. Watching this animal move on land communicates exactly why researchers argued for decades about whether it was aquatic, semi-aquatic, or terrestrial. It is visibly adapted for neither fully. The Tanystropheus neck vertebrae in the fossil record. Each vertebra extremely elongated, the neural spines reduced, the transverse process is minimal, the bone architecture of a rigid rod, not a flexible neck. 12 of these in sequence. 3 meters of them. The specific anatomy of an apparatus designed to extend the head over water at maximum distance while keeping the body safe on land. A paleontologist in North Dakota in 2024, crouching at a cliff face of Miocene age rock, exposing a Moropus claw. The claw emerging from the rock that has held it for 15 million years. This claw was used to strip bark from ancient trees. It pressed into ancient forest floor with 1.1 tons of impossible animal behind it. And now it is here, in someone's hands, in the 21st century. The Moropus claw emerging from Miocene rock. 20 centimeters of fossilized perissodactyl claw. The broad base, the curved shaft, the sharp tip. The specific anatomy of an animal whose closest living relative is the horse, but whose claw looks nothing like a hoof. This is what the fossil record does, it preserves the evidence of things that should not exist and did. Europe had its own Moropus equivalent, the Anisodon, slightly smaller, the same basic impossible plan, horse-like head, gorilla-like disproportionate forelimbs, large curved claws, knuckle-walking posture. The same evolutionary strategy deployed simultaneously on 2 continents by 2 separate lineages. Parallel evolution of a horse-gorilla hybrid. Mother Nature apparently decided it was such a good idea it needed to be done twice. The Moropus at the last tree. The forest around it mostly gone. The grassland extending to the horizon. The horse-gorilla clawed design that worked in dense forest does not work in open grassland. The body built for hooking onto trees is not built for fleeing across open ground. The animal is standing at the boundary of its own extinction without knowing it. The empty forest. The Moropus gone. The tracks in the soft earth near the ancient oak roots still there. 3-toed knuckle-walking impressions in the soil. The forest that was home to the most impossible herbivore evolution ever produced, still here, completely unchanged. The forest did not need the Moropus. The Moropus needed the forest. The Amphicyon moving through a thinning Miocene forest, Behind it, the forest it evolved for. Ahead of it, the open ground of the Pliocene landscape. This is the last million years of a lineage that dominated most of the planet's continents for over 30 million years. It could not adapt quickly enough to a world that no longer had the forests it needed. The animals that replaced the Amphicyon. Leaner. More specialized for open country. Faster. Built for pursuit across open ground rather than the forest ambush and bone-crushing dominance of the bear-dog design. More efficient for the world as it became. Less extraordinary. Entirely more practical. The Amphicyon was too much animal for a world that was becoming simpler. The Erythrosuchus replaced by more gracile archosaurs, the skull still prominent, but proportionally less extreme, the limbs more upright, the movement more efficient. The niche continues. The occupant changes. The rock underneath remains the same red-brown Triassic earth. 250 million years later it is still there, in the Karoo of South Africa, still the same rock, still containing the bones of the thing that once ruled it. The Hell Pig's gone. The late Pliocene plain the same geographic region, the same open grassland. But the 750-kilogram jaw crusher with the hyena dentition and the pig face is absent. In its place, pack hunters. Lighter, faster, more efficient for a world of open grass and fleeing prey. The bone-crushing dominance model was replaced by the coordinated pursuit model. Evolution moved on. Return to the ancient Miocene forest. The same forest. The same light. The Moropus track still in the soft earth. The Amphicyon's paw mark still in the riverbank. The animals are gone. The forest is not. This forest has been here longer than any of the animals it sheltered. It will be here after the last one of them disappears from the fossil record. The Moropus knuckle-walking track in the ancient forest floor. 3 toes. 3 claw impressions ahead of each toe. The heel of the knuckle-walk pressing the dorsal surface of the fingers. 1.1 tons of animal made this impression 15 million years ago. The soft earth preserved it. The rock eventually covered it. We found it. It is still the exact shape of an impossible hand. The same European oak forest today, the ancient oak still there, the same species, the same light through the same type of canopy. The Moropus has been gone for approximately 1 million years. The oak trees do not know this. The forest continues without the animal that lived in it for 33 million years. Nature is not sentimental about its own experiments. All 5 at once, the Moropus in its forest, the Amphicyon at the forest edge, the Tanystropheus at the Triassic coast, the Erythrosuchus on the Triassic plain, the Daeodon on the Eocene grassland. 5 different geological periods. 5 different continents. 5 different evolutionary lineages. All real. All documented. All impossible. All gone. All of them more extraordinary than anything Jurassic World ever imagined. The Moropus skeleton in the museum. Mounted in the knuckle-walking position, the horse skull and neck, the enormous disproportionate forelimbs with the 3 large curved claws, the smaller hind limbs, the full impossible anatomy made permanent in bone. This is what it actually was. Not a reconstruction. Not an artist's impression. The bones, in their actual positions, telling the actual story. The ancient Miocene forest, one last time. The same aerial establishing shot as the first scene. The same trees, the same light, the same river. And through the canopy, barely visible, the shape of a Moropus moving through the dappled forest light. Still here, in this frame, in this moment. For the last time. The Moropus claw. 20 centimeters of fossilized bone. Curved. Dense. Smooth. The outer surface still catching the light the same way it caught the light in the Miocene forest 15 million years ago. This claw was alive. It hooked into bark. It supported 1.1 tons of animal. It belonged to something that should not have existed. It is still here. And it is the most honest thing in this entire story.